is going on, you guys? So right behind me is the McLaren 600LT Spider. This is a super track-focused version of the already awesome McLaren 570S. And in this video, we're going to go over every detail, and I'm going to show you what it's like to drive this car. All right, everyone, let's go ahead and check out the McLaren 600LT. Now, if you follow the channel, you know that I just filmed the 720S, so this is a nice treat because this is obviously focusing way more on handling characteristics versus outright performance and just speed. This thing is a really nice balance, and I think if you can put up with the extremeness of this car and you only plan on having it as a weekend car, this is a really good option because it's just so involving, so intoxicating. And that's what I like about this car. Now, let's go ahead and talk about this color. It's really hard to see because we are in California right now. The fires are making everything literally orange. This is red, I promise. There's just an orange tint in the sky right now because of all the ash flowing about. But it looks really good either way. I mean, this is just a good looking color, and any dark colored paired with all the black accents, paired with all of the carbon fiber that this car has, which is an absurd amount of carbon fiber, and it helps keep the weight down. So this as is around 3,100 pounds. To be exact, it's 3,099 pounds. So very light vehicle. Now, as you come to the front, here is a throwback to old McLaren. Now, looking at the 720S, way different front design. It's almost not recognizable as the same brand, but this is very reminiscent of when McLaren first started their journey selling cars in the US. And if you liked that really sharp, just almost like angry beak sort of look, this still has that, and I still think it looks very good. Now, as we come a little bit closer, you guys are going to be able to see some more of that carbon located down here. Looks very nice, and this splitter is super low, so it doesn't even come up to my ankle. It's so low, so using that front end lift is definitely recommended in almost any circumstances. And then you have your daytime running LEDs, which, I mean, look great. It's your signature McLaren symbol right there. With Bruce McLaren being from New Zealand, he actually has a lot of cues on this car that represent a kiwi bird, and I'll show you as we go around. Full LEDs as well, so at night it looks equally as good. And it's just a great looking supercar, so no getting around that. Now, as we come to the hood, just nice hood lines, two faint lines kind of going out to the side, but just noticeable enough that they add that aggression. Now, as we come to the wheels, you are going to have these 19-inch wheels. These are wrapped in Pirelli tires. Very good tires. P0s, you could get a little bit stickier, a little bit more aggressive, but these are a good compromise between just road going and then having a decent amount of aggression. They're 225, 35s up front, and then in the back, you are going to have a staggered setup. These are 285, 35s back here. Now, as we come to the mirror, I do like this mirror cap because it sort of looks like someone's hand is holding out a carbon fiber mirror. It's very cool. And then as you come to the door, here's where it gets super cool, at least in my opinion. So this door has this sort of tendon-like effect going on. You guys can see right through there. Very cool. Carbon just adorning the entire inside of this piece right here. And the cool part is this area is actually going to represent the kiwi bird. So if I get back to the profile, that's supposed to be the beak, and this is supposed to be the chubby little body minus obviously the legs, and then those birds don't have wings. So very cool to notice that there. And then it's neat because you have this small area which is going to act like a vacuum effect. It's going to cool the air down as it goes through this area, open it up, and then flow right into this big intake right here. So really nice. And as you come down, 600LT, more carbon fiber going all through there, and you guys can see just the functionality of all these pieces right here. Hopefully you can see if my camera will focus. Sort of, there we go. And then as you come towards the back, you have one of the coolest things, which is the top mounted exhaust. Now, if you guys can see here, this is gonna be like a matte finish. This is gonna be your gloss finish. That's because this thing legitimately shoots out flames. I'll show you more later, and that's why you can see these little marks here, and they're super noticeable. So you don't want to melt all of your paint off, so it's pretty smart that McLaren thought of doing that. Now, coming to the rear quarter panel, one of my favorite things is this blade right back here. It's like an arrow blade, and man, does that thing look so cool. You can see the wheel through it. It's just a really big piece, and it just seems super race car. You have a fixed wing here in the back, an area down here for air to escape. This entire back panel is going to be carbon fiber, literally the entire thing. Looks amazing though. And then you have your LED lights here in the back, which once again look good at night. You know it's a McLaren, you know it's a supercar at least. And then you have this diffuser down here, which is insanely aggressive. I mean, it is one of the coolest I've ever seen. And because you have your exhaust up here, you can make it even more aggressive by not having to worry about exhaust being down there. All right, guys, so here's your key for the McLaren 600LT. Same as almost every other McLaren that you have. You're gonna have your lock, the McLaren symbol is gonna be your unlock, and then your front frunk release. And then on the back, it's basically just some flat black plastic. And then you have this darker chrome going around the outside. Now, obviously you can use the key to get into the car, or you can use the button that's located under the door. So right under here, you're gonna have a button, you're gonna push that, and the doors are going to open up in a dihedral fashion because these are the dihedral doors. And because this has the carbon tub, unlike something like a Huracan, for example, it's not really simple to get in. You do have to climb over this piece right here, but it's kind of a cool feeling. And I will admit, with these seats, which are going to be basically the Senna seats, very thin buckets. I mean, incredibly thin and just padding where you need it. It's crazy how thin these carbon buckets are, but it makes it so hard to get in. I have to admit, if you're not limber or if you're got bad knees, whatever it is, this is highly unrecommended for you guys, because look at this. Even with the top up, it's hard to get in. So with the top, with the top down, it's hard to get in. With the top up, it's even harder. So I have to get in, and then your leg is always going to just be on the outside of this. There's no way to get in to where this isn't happening. And then you just swing over this high piece right here. And then at that point, you guys can see I'm basically in a race car. I mean, this comes up above almost to where the top of my thigh is. My shoulders are deep in this thing. But the crazy part is once you're in here, I have room to move around. I don't feel claustrophobic, and I could be a bigger, more broad-shouldered person and still fit in these seats. It's just hard to get into the car, to get into the seats. That's the only hard part. But once again, once you're in here, it's very nice to move around, and it's pretty comfortable if I'm being completely honest. Now, closing the doors, you obviously will just pull straight down, but we're not gonna do that just yet because there's one more thing I wanna talk about, and that's the fact that this is a convertible, obviously. So you can put the top up, and with the top up, it still looks really good, hardly ever noticeable from the coupe, and you don't lose any performance. So I think that's the best part about the convertible. You can hear the exhaust, you can experience everything around you without losing the high performance capabilities of your supercar. All right, so shutting the door on the 600LT. Now, you'll grab this handle and you're gonna pull basically down towards your hip. But before we close it, a few details about the door. So you're gonna have the speakers here, which are actually designed to look like a kiwi bird as well. So that same beak, chubby body kind of look going around here. And you have a Bowers & Wilkins sound system in here. So you can see that Kevlar speaker located right here. And you've got all of this orange leather, a little bit of storage space located right here. And it's a pretty cool look. So let's go ahead and shut this. Really solid shut. And then to start, as long as you have the key on the inside, you're gonna put your foot all the way down the brake and you're gonna hit this start engine button right here. Sounds so good, man. But for the purpose of the video, I'm gonna power it down because we'll get a lot more sound and noise later when we take it for a drive. So I'm just gonna turn on the accessory power right now. That way we can kind of talk about everything. So seating position is excellent. I mean, being a McLaren, it's very driver focused, especially this LT version. And just the setup is really nice. The pedals are great. The steering wheel is great. No buttons on here, just straight to business. The only weird thing is that this doesn't have the upgraded big paddles. This has these like standard small ones, which are literally like the size of my pinky. They are so little, and it's hilarious because you're driving this exotic, crazy car and you're shifting with these tiny little paddles. I just found it to be kind of funny. Then you have things like your wipers, blinkers, your front end lift is going to be on this left stalk, and then you have cruise control on this bottom right stalk, mirror controls, light controls, and then you move to your screen here, which is pretty simple. It's not as cool as something like the 720S, but it still shows you all of your necessary information. And then if I throw it into active, go into track mode, that's going to give me sort of like an F1 style setup where you have the shift lights that'll come up as you climb in your RPM. So that's very nice. Now, as we move back over here to the middle, full leather wrap dash. You're gonna have a tweeter up here for your Bowers & Wilkins sound system. Your vents located here. Now your system here is pretty simple to work. I can hit things like apps. You have your media, which is basically you plugging in your phone. It'll pull the music directly from your phone if you want to do something like that, but you have plenty of music coming from the back of this thing. And then your phone, navigation, radio. So it's very simplistic, and it's all in this floating setup right here, which looks very cool because it makes it feel open. And I think that's one thing I like about this more than the 720S. I don't feel as I guess closed in as I did in the 720S. I actually feel like I have a lot more room in here despite having these buckets. So moving down, you do have a little bit of storage space. I have a cup holder down here which can fit, you know, a Pete's coffee, which is real nice. And then as you move back, you guys already saw the engine start stop button. And then you have these two dials. So once I hit active, I can use these, and this is gonna be like my transmission, which is gonna be normal, sport, track, normal, sport, track for handling right here. So powertrain handling. I'm gonna hit this middle button to throw me into manual mode. You'll know when it's in manual mode whenever it's lit up, and then whenever it's not lit up, that's just full automatic. ESC off, active, which once again, you need to hit that to use these. Once that ring is gone, it's just fully automatic. The car's doing everything for you. A launch button, which we'll test out later. Start, stop, and then you have your push button shifter for drive, neutral, reverse. You don't have a park, you just throw it into neutral, throw on the parking brake. Hazards, this button is going to be to control the top, your lock, front trunk release, and then this is to roll up and down this window located right back here. And when the top is up, you can roll that down and basically let in all the noise, which is a really cool feature. A little bit more storage space here. You've got this really narrow armrest, literally just enough for one person's arm. Lift that up, and you're gonna have 3 USBs in there as well as a 12 volt. So not a ton of space, but you do have some functionality in there, which is great. Other than that, you just have a mirror here, your lighting controls here, vanity mirror, and that's pretty much going to be it, you guys. Very simple. One cool thing I did forget is the entire floor on here is carbon fiber. It's the coolest looking thing, and you can just tell this thing is so serious when you get inside of it. It's amazing. But that's pretty much going to wrap up the interior. Let's check out the rest of the car. All right, so coming under the front hood of your McLaren 600LT. Now, you do have a lot of storage space in here. So compared to something like a Huracan, way more space. That's one of the coolest things about McLaren is they offer just a ton of frunk space. You guys can see the cubic feet here on the screen if you want to know that. But I have like my backpack in here, GoPro, which doesn't take up any room, but I can fit at least 3 or 4 of these backpacks in the front. So I wouldn't be surprised if you can fit 2 good-sized carry-ons. So if it's you, another person, you're going on a weekend trip, you can easily pack enough. And if you pack light, it's even better. You can put more things in here as well. You have an LED light in here, 12 volt, and you also have a little storage space here off to the side that's netted. So if you have anything like, let's say, a bottle of wine for the weekend, you can throw it in there. That way it's not rolling around, and it's just nice and secure. So I do like that, and it's pretty much gonna wrap up under the front. Let's go ahead and talk about the engine. All right, guys, so coming to the engine. Now, obviously you can't see anything, but this is gonna be a 3.8 liter twin turbocharged V8. This is basically the sole engine that McLaren uses in almost all of their vehicles, just different tunings, slightly different setups for each car. Now, this one is gonna make 592 horsepower, about 457 pound-feet of torque. And that's hooked up to a 7-speed auto going to just the rear wheels. Now, there's a lot of cool things about this that help with like weight savings. One of the big things is this shorter exhaust. I mean, it's literally super short. It's right there. And because of that, it shoots lots of flames. You don't have a lot of area for the exhaust to travel, and it just creates this super unique experience that I have never experienced in a stock supercar. So right before we get into the driving, I'll show you guys some revs at night, and you can see all the crazy flames on this. But the one cool thing I love about McLaren is it feels more powerful than the numbers suggest. And this car as is weighs 3,099 pounds. Now, depending on how you spec it, it could be a little bit heavier, a little bit lighter, but that's the general figure that McLaren gives for this car. But I'm sure you guys are excited to see this thing in action, so let's go ahead and do just that. Alright you guys, so we're running the 600LT down Ortega Highway. I'm going downhill, and if you have headphones on, throw them on because I have the back window down and we're going to get the full auditory experience. So, we're going to see how this thing does. Here we go. Good gosh, this is so fast. Okay, so since we're going downhill, it's a good opportunity for me to test these brakes and see how good they are. Alright, first corner here, we're going to throw her into second. Oh. Hydraulic steering. All the bumps and all the cracks in the road really make the steering kind of dart around. It's a little nerve-wracking at first, but once you get used to it, I mean, this is how steering is supposed to be done, guys. And this cornering capability, I mean, look at this. Effortless. Okay, really long sweeper here. I'm going to turn last second and grip. And the crazy part is, look at my hands. I never have to cross my arms. I'm literally just barely moving the wheel. Oh my word. How insane is this? Man. Got a compression area here where it's going to go down, boom, to the right, and it's just so composed. Oh my gosh, this thing is so good. Alright you guys, so driving the 600LT Spider with the top down. Now, the coolest part about a convertible is, especially these modern supercar convertibles, you don't lose any of the performance, you get more sound. Jeez. And guys, if you have headphones, put them on. So I have these headphones in my ears for binaural audio. That way you can get the closest experience to what I'm experiencing right now, because this thing is insane. Listen to that. My gosh. The pops are just so loud. Dude, you feel like a superstar in this car. Everyone literally just waves at you, and it's pretty hilarious. Man, what a car. My gosh, guys. McLaren seriously makes some of the best cars. It is so, so good. Oh. Now, one of the coolest parts, I mean, especially with the top down, you don't want to drive this like super fast. You just want to cruise around, enjoy the sound. I mean, obviously I'm driving it fast, but you can appreciate the sound of this McLaren way more with the top down. You have turbo spool, you have wastegate sound, you have that low, almost like grumble that it makes. You've got the pops, the exhaust is literally right behind your head. The 765LT is gonna be a beast, but its exhaust pipes aren't right there. And this will still be a hard car to beat, even when the 765LT comes out. This thing is just so, so cool. And yes, that car is gonna shoot flames, but once again, because the exhaust isn't right behind your head, you won't be able to see the flames. And the fact that you can see it, hear it, it's so awesome. My word, guys. So crazy. And putting the top down is super simple. So I'm gonna pull over here, or putting the top up is super simple. There we go. Still have a decent amount of headroom in here, which is great. You can be at least 6'2", 6'3", and still fit in here. Once you get around 6'4", 6'5", it's gonna get a lot more difficult. And I can roll down this back window if I want to. Keep that sound just right there. My word, guys. If I was gonna get a supercar, this is what I would get. It is super in every definition of the word. And it's funny because I'm gonna quiet things up just a bit. It's funny because whenever you think of a supercar, you think of these overhyped, overpriced vehicles that really don't give you much more performance or much more, value than something like a ZL1 Camaro or a Z06 Corvette. And from a performance aspect, yes, that is very true. However, at least with this car, the one thing this has absolutely nailed for me has been the unique experience that it offers. There's no other supercar that shoots flames stock, that feels this aggressive and crazy stock, despite this price point. It's just so over the top, wild, ridiculous, and when you get a supercar, that's what you want. My fuel level is low because of all this driving. But that's what you want, guys. This offers it, and it is quite the experience. Well, everyone, that's gonna wrap up my review of the 600LT Spider. This thing is awesome. Whether I would get it over a 720S, it really depends. There is about $100,000 price difference depending on how you spec the two. And this one just feels a lot more engaging. It's nowhere near as fast as the 720. It also doesn't have the looks of the 720, but looks are always subjective. One thing that's not subjective though is that this thing is super engaging. It pulls you into the experience all the way through. It sounds incredible. It shoots flames. You can't get any better than that. And it's a McLaren. The driving of it is just so, so good. But let me know what you guys think. Comment below. And if you're new to my channel, be sure to hit the subscribe button, hit the bell. We're trying to hit 100,000 subscribers, and we're so, so close. And I'll see you guys in the next review.